We're here at the SmallHD booth at NAB, and we're talking about the new feature for our DP7 line of monitors, which is on-camera color grading. So we're allowing you to do color grading in our monitor while it's on your camera or off camera, but we're basically putting DIT tools into a field monitor. So I can kind of give you a quick preview of what's going on. So right here we've got some footage from a pocket camera looping on this monitor, and you can see it's pocket camera, so it's really flat looking, and there's not a lot of contrast and saturation. So we can change that by going into our look menu and editing the look and adding a correction here. So I'm going to open our look designer, and first I'm going to dive in and manipulate some of our shadows, because again our black point isn't quite right. So I'm going to reduce our black point. I'm going to bump up and do same thing to the highlights and bring the highlights up a little bit. And then I can go to our overall setting here and modify our saturation and bring that back in a little bit. And I can kind of show you the before and after. And actually I've got a split screen on right now, so I can close this menu. You can kind of see I've already made a little bit of a change here. So this again is the raw side, the original side, and this is the lookup table that I just have been applying. So I can go back in, and this works similar to DaVinci Resolve in the fact that there's a node-based system here, and you can connect other grades or lookup tables. So I'm actually going to add a lookup table I've already made from my SD card. It's a film stock emulation. So I'm just going to grab one of these Fujifilm film stocks and apply it, and you'll see it change here. And now I can back out, and you can see there's even more drastic of a change on the monitor here. You're able to see a more clear picture of what your end result might look like. Once you've applied all these different grades, you can go and export that grade out. It flattens all those grades together into one 3D lookup table file that you can use in any color grading app. So you'll be able to select the app that you use and be able to actually, with the footage you record and this lookup table, you can give a colorist exactly what they need to have a starting point for the final grade, and they can improve on that. You'll be able to send this grade downstream out HDMI or SDI. So you can send that to a client monitor, especially if you have a client who doesn't really understand that a log footage is really meant to be corrected later on, and they can't envision what that's going to look like. They get scared when they see the really flat looking image. When you create a look, you can send it simultaneously through SDI and HDMI out both. And in the final firmware, you'll actually be able to send a grade out and then continue tweaking the grade on the monitor without it changing that one going out. So if you send one you're pretty happy with to the client, but you kind of want to keep tweaking, or you want to go back to the raw to look at the waveforms and stuff like that, you'll be able to do that on the monitor and not affect the grade downstream. It'll help you fix lighting issues on the fly. You'll be able to spot more problems, focus better, that kind of stuff. So it's really meant to enhance the workflow. It's a linear workflow now. You can create a grade here and hand it off to the colorist, versus like going back and forth with that kind of process. So we're going to have multiple file format selections, because not everything I think accepts a .cube. So we're going to try to hit as many of the popular color grading apps as possible. And if we hear from customers that like, hey, can you add this one? They're pretty easy to make. So that we'll just kind of continue adding that as we develop the software. The waveform right now really primarily looks at the raw incoming image, and I don't think right now it is affected by the grade, but you would be able to send it downstream to a waveform monitor, and obviously if you had a second monitor, you'd be able to see the effect that you're doing on that. Right now the DP7 doesn't record onto the monitor. We've been developing that a little bit, but we've hit some roadblocks there, and so that's not really our focus. There's a lot of recording options out there.
That's just kind of a benefit for maybe it's low data rate dailies.
Sure.
Is it something that you think you'll probably have where you can bake in?
Maybe with the feedback we've had so far, we're thinking of maybe doing possibly a small external solution to help with that, and you would be able to select whether you want to bake it in or not. I think so. It's sort of up to the user at that point. All of our firmware updates are free, so this is just update to 3.0. It's a free firmware update to existing users, and it'll be on all of our monitors starting in May when the firmware actually becomes available.